Right, many thanks for staying with us right here on MX24 television. My name is Kwabena Chenche Hineboating, and this is Opposing Views. We are grateful to you, as always, that you take time off your rather busy schedule to join us for such important conversations. And today, like I said, we want to focus on the big one, which has to do with the probe necessitated by that letter written by ASEPA to the Office of the President, demanding, well, as the Constitution suggests, that he's investigated, he being the Chief Justice of the land, Justice Zenin Yeboah, because he's been accused of doing one thing or the other. We'll come to that in a short while. However, I mentioned to you that the NDC is also in the news. They've been in the news since yesterday. And why? It's because the former Deputy General Secretary of the party, Koku Anyidoho, at one point in time also, he was a presidential spokesperson during the era of John Evans Atta Mills. He's come under a lot of criticism. He's had some challenges with his party folk because some say the words he puts out tends to hurt the party much more than help the party. And at such a time, when the party is looking to get a lot more people to speak on its behalf and to communicate one clear message to the people of Ghana amid all the things happening in the country, they do not need people saying things that hurt the party, particularly when they've held such sensitive positions in the party. And so he was to appear before the disciplinary committee. A letter was written. In fact, there was a whole hula baloo about that letter which was written to him. He had at one point even suggested that he has not even seen any letter. He doesn't even know who is holding himself out as a judge and jury in the case, and how that person or groups of persons want to haul him before such a committee and then suggest, among other things, sanctions for his actions or inactions. Well, now we are told that the Functional Executive Committee of the National Democratic Congress has met and has taken a decision. It's a unanimous decision. We are told that every single person says Koku must go. So he has been expelled from the party. He's no longer a member of the NDC. That is the information available. However, before that decision was announced, Koku Anyidoho had put up a post on Twitter. I would like to share that with you in a short while. Take a look at what Koku had put up on his Twitter page. That was yesterday. Now, he says, Article 25 of the NDC's constitution states that when the NDC is in opposition without a flag bearer, the national chairman is the leader of the party. Anyone who refers to himself or herself as co-leader in contravention of the NDC's constitution is a dreamer. So this is what he said. Now, I've heard a lot of commentary suggesting that this is what may have triggered that decision or the announcement of such a decision. I don't know how true that is. But after he posted this, then the decision was communicated that Koku Anyidoho has been expelled. We have a copy of that letter of expulsion signed by General Secretary of the NDC, Johnson Esiedun Ketia, which maybe we'll share with you later on. But subsequent to his expulsion, Koku has been tweeting. Let's take a look at a few things he tweeted even yesterday. Let's start from the top. Now, he says, vindication lies in the womb of time. Shalom. That was one of the things he wrote. And then he went on also to write, this too shall surely pass. Okay. Then he comes finally to say, I continue to remain focused on growing the Atta Mills Institute, building Asomdwe Park, and flying high the legacy of President Atta Mills. My Bible tells me that in all things I should give thanks to God Almighty for his grace and mercies. I love Ghana. And the last tweet he put up this morning, just before coming on air, was a rather interesting one. Now, read this. When Joseph's brothers sold him into slavery, they did not know they were selling him into his God-given destiny to become a prime minister in Egypt. What evil men mean for wickedness, God turns it around for good. I am a son of God. Okay. Whoever this shade is meant for, I can't tell. If it's a stray bullet to somebody too, I cannot tell. But among other things, it is clear that the Koku Anyidoho, former Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, and members of that party don't seem to be on good terms. The key question, however, is whether or not this decision will help the party's fortunes in the coming election, or will come back to bite the party in a place they are not so fond of mentioning when they actually need him the most. I don't know what your thoughts are, but when it's time, you can share with us. In fact, you can share your comments with us on WhatsApp or Facebook and we'll be more than happy to share it with the rest of the world. It's a conversation which has really gotten a lot of people chatting on Twitter and several other platforms. And so that's just a bit about the Koku Anidoho situation. Like I also mentioned to you that we also have the latest on the High Court ruling, which has cancelled the parliamentary election in Asin North. So James Jache Kwesen, who was sworn in as Member of Parliament for the area pending that very suit in court, well, he can no longer hold himself as Member of Parliament. That issue has gone to the stage where technically a by-election must be held. Or must it? I don't know. But I'll take the views of our experts in a short while. Let me introduce our guests for today's show. We have two lawyers and the executive director for ASEPA, Mensa Thompson, as well. So Dr. Ajimambudu is a private legal practitioner. He will be joining us in a short while to help us understand a few things. Also, Christian Maum Hesse is a private legal practitioner. He also has some rather interesting views on a lot of the things we discuss right here when it comes to current affairs. And so he will also help us appreciate a few things. And so if they are on, I believe they are. Gentlemen, good afternoon. Can you hear me? Okay. They can't readily hear me. So once we have them on and they can hear me, I'll get them to respond to this very decision by the High Court and what it means for the existing parliament, that's the 8th parliament, what it means for all of us, whether or not there's going to be a by-election or what it means for this. They will help us appreciate all of that. But now to the substantive issue. Now, a letter, in fact, let me start on this basis. The Chief Justice was accused of something, and he was accused at a time when some other person was being accused of one thing. And so that person, in his defense of what he had been accused of doing, mentioned the name of the Chief Justice. Now, on the back of the mention of the name of the Chief Justice, then ASEPA put out a letter to the Office of the President demanding that, hey, listen, Mr. President, based on what the Constitution says, if somebody is accused of ABC, the person is in a position to, for one reason or the other, find a way to influence the outcome of the situation. Please, let him step aside. Let us do our investigations. And then if perhaps a prima facie case is established against the person, then we can go ahead to either sack the person, prosecute the person, or do whatever other things we want to do with that very person. And so take a look at that. Let me show you that letter that was sent. It's from the Alliance for Social Equity and Public Accountability. Now, they sent this letter. The executive director, Mensa Thompson, signed this very letter, which was sent to Parliament. Now, if you take a look at it, it says, petition to invoke Article 146 for the removal of Chief Justice. 1. I'm going to read it verbatim. Hopefully, once we are done, we'll have our guests join us, and then we can kickstart our conversation. Now, it says, 1. That petitioner, the Alliance for Security for Social Equity and Public Accountability, ASEPA, is a registered civil society organization based in Ghana with full rights under the laws of Ghana. 2. That petitioner has inherent jurisdiction pursuant to matters of corruption, bribery, and public accountability among public office holders. 3. That petitioner invokes the explicit provisions of Article 146 to commence impeachment proceedings against the Chief Justice on the grounds of stated misbehavior as specified under Article 146 as one of the grounds for the removal of a Chief Justice from office. 4. That the lawyer, Kwesi Efrifa Esquire, in response to a petition brought against him at the General Legal Council, made serious allegations against the Chief Justice that his former client disclosed to him that the Chief Justice had requested a bribe of $5 million from him to help him win a case pending at the Supreme Court worth a judgment claim of $16 million. A copy of the lawyer's allegations has been printed and attached and labeled as Exhibit A. 5. The chief, in response to his allegation, has made a formal complaint to the Criminal Investigations Division of the Ghana Police Service. I think he meant the Chief Justice. Okay. And then he says a copy of his complaint printed and attached here in and labeled as Exhibit B. Now 6. Pursuant to Article 146, the President, upon receiving our petition in consultation with the Council of State, must refer the petition to a committee set up to investigate the allegation. The President must also ask the Chief Justice to step aside for the committee to complete their work. We believe that the CID can work together with a committee to be put together by the President to investigate the allegations. 7. The point must be made that whoever is investigating this allegation of bribery against the Chief Justice, whether Shraj or the CID or the General Legal Counsel or an Article 146 committee set up by the President, the Chief Justice cannot remain in office while these investigations take place as clearly stipulated under Article 146. And then finally, he says, it is therefore imperative that the President exercises his powers under Article 146 to ask the Chief Justice to step aside for all investigations to progress and for final reports submitted to the President for appropriate action. Okay, right. So this is the situation as exists. Now, it's a really dicey situation. Now, once this thing came out, or once this release was put out there, the presidency responded. I think we have a copy of what the presidency sent in response to this. I'm going to read it to you in a short while. Okay, there we go. So, Ari Nari petition. So, it's dated the 26th of July, by the way. A petition to invoke Article 146 for the removal of Chief Justice. Now, this letter is signed by the Secretary to the President, Anasanti Medieto. It says, I write to acknowledge receipt of your undated petition in respect of the above subject matter and to inform you that the President of the Republic has, in accordance with Article 146, subsection 6 of the Constitution, commenced the appropriate processes subsequent to being petitioned for the removal of the Chief Justice. Best wishes. And is sent to Mensa Thompson, the Executive Director for the Alliance for Social Equity and Public Accountability as SEPA, and is copied to the Vice President as well as the Chief of Staff. Now, many are asking whether or not this is even something we should even be worrying our heads over. In fact, there's a communique out there suggesting that we are on a wild goose chase. It is not even an issue to even waste our time on. And that the petition in itself, the petition that was sent to the presidency, for a want of a better word, as was said by someone some time back, the petition is incompetent, in quote. And so why even waste our time on that? Let me read bits and pieces of that. And that is a write-up put up by the private legal practitioner, Dr. Ajiman Budu. He's going to be one of the people who will join us in a brief while, though. But until he does, let me read a bit of that. It says, CJ $5 million bribery allegation, illogical and counterintuitive. I'll read just a bit of it. And then I think today we should make the show about the audience. We should make the show about you. We should allow you to share your views on the two things we have mentioned so far. And indeed, the third thing, which has to do with the by-election, which appears to be coming up sooner than we all think. Let me put it that way. Okay, so back to this. It says the CJ $5 million bribery allegation, illogical and counterintuitive. Now it says, in the past few days, a member of the legal profession in response to a petition filed against him by a former client of his to the disciplinary committee of the General Legal Counsel has ostensibly sought to implicate his lordship, the Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana, Justice Kwesi Eni-Yeboah, in a $5 million bribery scandal. It goes without saying that allegations of impropriety, bribery, and or corruption leveled against any public official must prima facie be taken seriously and thoroughly scrutinized and even investigated, regardless of the way and manner in which it is made. Thus, when such an allegation is made against the Chief Justice of Ghana and is subsequently serialized on social and all other media platforms, it is imperative that the public discourse on the matter be guided by verifiable facts, devoid of political coloration. As a matter of fact, our duty to the public as legal professionals includes providing public education and shaping the discourse on matters of national importance, especially those adjudicated upon in the infamous court of public opinion that have a bearing on the law, the legal profession, and the justice system generally. Now, this is what I seek to do after having perused the relevant court documents on the matter, all of which are available to the general public. In order to fully appreciate the context within which the bribery allegation was made against His Lordship, the Chief Justice, it is imperative that we understand the events that preceded it in a chronological manner. Okay, so then it takes us back to recount all the things that have happened. I want to quickly move to one portion which may be necessary for both you and I. Now, this is what it says. Okay, quote, okay, it says this. For purpose of clarity and context, it's prudent to reproduce in part the rationale for the Chief Justice's dissenting opinion below. So this is in relation to how the Chief Justice dissented on a previous case of that same person at the time. The Supreme Court, quote, the Supreme Court, as the last appellate court, sparingly grants leave for adduction of fresh evidence on a second appeal. I think we must do so when the evidence raises serious issues of facts which the appellant has discovered. Now, in the opinion of the majority, my respected brother has referred to the leading cases in this subject, and it will be sheer pedantry for me to repeat same. I agree with his analysis of the law, which is not in doubt at all. My concern is that this court, in allowing the respondent in this appeal, who has repeatedly been adjudged victorious based on the evidence he provided, is seeking to adduce fresh evidence on second appeal. I think the rule under which the application was brought is intended purposely to assist an appellant who was unable to unearth very crucial evidence which could have been worthy of belief and probably decisive of the matter. These are just extracts of what the Chief Justice said at the time of that very ruling. And so it has gotten a lot of people to suggest quite a number of things. Now, I want to read the summary of this post put out by Dr. Ajiman Budu, a private legal practitioner. He says, as earlier indicated, any allegation of impropriety, bribery, and or corruption made against any public official, including the Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana, must be taken seriously and thoroughly investigated by the appropriate authorities. Then he says in bracket, and we await the official findings and conclusion of this matter. But that notwithstanding, it is also imperative that the public discourse on the matter in the court of public opinion be guided by verifiable facts, devoid of political coloration, as has been set out in extenso in this piece, all of which may be verified from the records of this case at the registry of the Supreme Court and available to the general public. Now, in conclusion, having regard to the events that preceded this allegation, especially the proceedings thus far in the case of Ojidom Obrenu Kwesiata the State versus Ghana Telecommunications Company Limited and the Lands Commission, the allegation of bribery against the Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana does not seem to be a logical, meritorious one, as it is counterintuitive. So let that sink in. All he's saying is that the whole allegation in itself is not grounded in anything substantive. It's grounded on hearsay. Somebody says, I heard. So technically, someone can just get up one day and say, well, I heard that KK said, KK said Marie-France Fojo has done XYZ or has taken whatever. And so by extension, Marie is guilty just because I heard from KK that Marie has done this. That's the analysis. And then also you can then interpret it further to say, well, KK himself has come out to say, well, I never said that. And so if you are saying I said that, go ahead and show your proof. The burden of proof lies on you. And it's not on me, it's on you. And so that then again makes the situation even a lot more murkier than ordinarily it would have been. So many people are saying, is it an agenda by, say, a few people to ensure that the Chief Justice is sacked because he was put in there or he was appointed by the president of the land, the MPP president as they call him, or what? Okay, let us sink in briefly. Let's take a break. When we return, we'll delve deeper into the conversations. This is Opposing Views right here on MX24 television. We are live on all our digital platforms, on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, also on Instagram. We have a lot of images there which you can take a look at and like and share and comment on at will. But the live stream is currently on Twitter, on Facebook, and on YouTube. Get there and share on some platforms, and let's get the conversation started.
Angelina, you be cool in my temperature. If you call,
say cheese, take a picture. Shaka post, make a see, take a picture.
in a leg book, boah.
Why the party there today? Hey mama, hey I have a sip.
Wagwan, my people, welcome to X Cave.
A boy's body count and a girl's body count matter differently.
Wow, ladies.
Probably an experience, something that happened.
Is it a deal breaker in a relationship?
No.
The X Cave, and this show focuses on topics that are hot on the lips of our young people and presents it in an open, honest conversation.
Oh, look at him, he's crying, he's such a girl.
In other words, there are no liars on our show.
The man is the head of the home. The man is, quote unquote, the breadwinner.
We come here with the truth.
We talk of something being toxic. It's something which is harmful or unpleasant.
Stay glued to the television for the hottest show on TV.
Many thanks for staying with us right here on MX24 television. This is Opposing Views, and we are live from our studio right here at Silicon Square on the Boundary Road here at East Legon. Just before we went for that break, we were talking about the $5 million bribery scandal and how it has triggered the process for the removal of the Chief Justice. Mind you, that very process will have to go through a number of phases before they eventually get to the stage where once a prima facie case is established, the president can now then say, well, based on a report from the committee, will then be able to say that this is what must happen. And so we'll come to this in a short while. There's an update though, because ASEPA has been commending the presidency for the rather swift response he has given. And so let's put that up on the screen for you right now, and then we will get some reactions from you at home. Remember, today I said we are treating technically 2.5 things. I would say 2, though. One has to do with the NDC and its decision to suspend Koko Anyidoho from the party. Now, this comes to 3, the number of senior figures in the party who have been suspended in the last several months. And we are asking whether or not that move in itself is a right one, good enough, to perhaps get the party to recapture power from the NPP in the next general elections. And then the second thing which is on the table has to do with the $5 million bribery scandal and whether or not it is even enough basis for the presidency to actually trigger the processes for the removal of the Chief Justice. Now let's go to that very story which talks about the Chief Justice and how ASEPA is receiving the news from the presidency that such a committee is going to be set up to probe a lot more and to actually get a lot of things done. Okay, there you go. You can see it on your screen there. Okay, it's relatively smaller than I would have wanted it. But yes, you can still see it quite clearly. Now it says, the Alliance for Social Equity and Public Accountability, ASEPA, says the presidency's response to its petition for the possible removal of the Chief Justice, Kwesi Enim-Yeboah, over the $5 million bribery allegation made against him is welcoming. Now, it said the presidency has acted in line with its expectation. The presidency has said some processes had already commenced prior to being petitioned over the matter. The response was contained in a letter to ASEPA, which petitioned the president to invoke provisions of Article 146 to commence impeachment proceedings against the Chief Justice. ASEPA's Executive Director, Mensa Thompson, in an interview with Eyewitness News, said the update from the presidency is actually in order. Now, here's the quote. He says, "I think this is quite delightful, just as we expected the president to do. There's nothing unusual about this because the Constitution is very clear about what the processes are, and the president is supposed to act as a conveyor belt when he receives such petitions." Okay, thank you. Let's open the phone lines now and begin our conversation with you, our cherished viewers, rather discerning. Today, like I said, we want to get as many feedback and as many responses as possible on the 2 issues currently before us here. Let's head to the Ashanti Regional Capital, Kumasi. Emmanuel has been on for quite a while. Emmanuel, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, good afternoon, brother.
Great.
Your viewers also.
Right.
Please, looking at the issue as of now, if the Chief Justice is indicted or there's an allegation on his credibility as in the on the highest stage of justice, okay, I think what the president did was in the right direction. You have to step aside. It should go across board until you are proven not guilty before you can actually assume the office. So I think everybody should sit up now. If there is something we should look at, we should be open. That's transparency.
I see.
We should be open up and we should handle it as the president has done.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Emmanuel, thank you so much. We are grateful that you've called. For those of you who are wondering how Emmanuel got through, well, he dialed some very simple numbers. 055-033-1511, 055-033-1511, and 020-473-8481, 020-473-8481. The numbers are on your screen now. Feel free to call us and share your thoughts on the issues we are discussing. One, which is kind of what we are discussing now, has to do with the Chief Justice and the petition seeking his removal from office because he's been accused of one thing or the other. Let's still stay in Kumasi. Is it Rahman who is joining us? Kamran from Kumasi. Kamran, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Kamran, let's hear you.
Okay, well, I don't really have to say so much, but I think from where, you know, the whole thing is headed to, it's just kind of like, I don't want to just kind of like preempt, but I think it's just going to be a waste of time.
You think it's going to be a waste of time?
Yeah.
How so?
Just look at Ezra, the committee that they, you know, established to kind of like bring out something, and look at what they're telling us.
I see. So you don't have confidence in the committee that is to be set up by the president to probe this. You don't think it's going to do a good job or a job decent enough?
Sir, it's just all going to be a waste of time. Sorry.
Okay. All right. Cameron, thank you very much. That was Cameron joining us from the Ashanti Regional Capital, Kumasi. He thinks that, well, not much is going to come of this very committee, which is to be put up by the president in accordance with law, by the way. Now, what the law is suggesting is that when such a case is made to the president must direct it to a certain quarters and then get a committee. The law actually gives a breakdown of which kinds of people should even make up that committee. I think it's two Supreme Court judges and two others and a few. I'll have to get the exact details for you. I think we have another caller on the line. I'm not too sure. Shaibu. Okay. Shaibu is joining us now. Shaibu, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Shaibu, let's hear you, please.
Yeah, my worry is, the 100,000... My worry is that the 100,000 was paid because of the wasted means. And the chief realized that the 100,000 did not go as planned, as they thought of. So, if we are talking about the 5 million here, that means the case involved is not even going well for the chief. And he, according to the chief, he has to do something before it's too late for him. So this thing we are talking about is not all that authentic or this thing. We have to look at that a second thought.
I see.
Yeah, because the 100,000 were already paid for the waste of means. Don't forget that.
Okay.
So my view is something else. And then the lawyer who is involved is where the chief that has to set aside and look for another lawyer in place of him.
Okay. All right. Shaibu, thank you. Let's be mindful also that all of these remain allegations and counter allegations. None of the interested parties has managed to prove anything beyond reasonable doubt that indeed an X amount of money was given to this person to do A, B, or C. And so they all remain allegations as of now. So until such allegations are corroborated, let's treat them as such. Musa is joining us from Aflao. Musa, good afternoon. Oh, Lethan. Lethan, can you hear me? Okay, I think Lethan's line has dropped there. Lethan was joining us from Aflao. But you can also join us. Feel free to share your views with us. The numbers are on the screen now. And you can see also the topic we are discussing on your screen. The phone lines again, 055 033 1511. 055 033 1511 or 020 473 8481. Let's stay in the Volta region. Roman is joining us. Roman, hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Roman, let's hear you, sir.
With regards to this matter, it's entirely an interesting one. And I wish the president the very best. And my work is that some similar incidents.
Hello, Roman.
In this manner. So, if he's able to follow this one to the latter, I want him to replicate in all other public office holders issues. Recently, we heard of his trip to abroad. And when the finance minister was
Okay, I think Roman's line is not very stable. We would have to drop you, Roman. Sincere apologies there. But let's still stay in the Volta region. Let's head to Aflao now. Mensah is joining us. Mensah, hi, good afternoon. Okay, Mensah's line has also tripped. It's rather unfortunate. There's a lot we have to hear from our discerning viewers like yourself. The line just seems to be creating a bit of a problem for us. But don't worry, do call. It will come through eventually and we can have you on so we can take your views as we've decided to dedicate today's show to you. Said is joining us now from Takrady. Said, hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Said, let's hear you.
Yeah. I overheard someone talking about that it's waste of time.
Yes, someone did mention that.
Yeah, I think it's a waste of time too. Because, like in Ghana, it's almost like if somebody does something and he's, found wanting or the public is talking about it, the president or the leader will take him off from that particular position and hide him somewhere. Meanwhile, elsewhere in certain countries, like this allegation, for instance, the CJ himself would have even resigned.
But
you understand?
So the question then would be that if that is the case, then anyone can just get up and make any accusation, no matter how ridiculous it may seem about somebody, and expect that the person resigns or is pushed out. Is the president not going through the due process to get the committee to do the investigations? And if a prima facie case is established, perhaps go ahead to dismiss the Chief Justice, and if not, clear his name for other civil processes to begin. Is that not the right way to go? Why are we so convinced that because somebody has been accused by someone, the person must necessarily be guilty?
Yeah, but you see, for instance, the committees have been formed. And at the end of the day, reports that are supposed to come, will go in the shadows. Nobody will hear about the committee. You understand? I was just watching the news and I saw the Ahmed Suarez case being brought up.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
Because there's a bit pressure again, then that issue also has to be brought to the, to the public scene. And I tell you, though the Attorney General was saying they are about to give a conclusion to the investigation, but I tell you, what the investigation will come out will be nothing.
Okay. All right.
So we pray that our leaders will be guided by God for the whole nation to be blessed.
Thank you for your views. Thank you so much, Said. Said joined us from Takrady. Let's return to Aflao. Mensah has rejoined us, I believe. Mensah, hi. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Great. Now we can hear you. Can you please make your point?
I'm not concerned about your program this afternoon. I'm highly impressed.
Thank you.
To be sincere with you, we Ghanaians, we have been taken for granted because this president is like, how can a criminal arrest a criminal? They're all working under one pipe, working under one umbrella. So Ghana now, we just need to be praying for God's intervention. This is my first time calling you on your program. I highly like your program. but Ghana needs a second deliver. Thank you for your case.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Mensa. Mensa, however, the law says that everybody is innocent until proven guilty. So if you call somebody a criminal, the person has every right to sue you. So please, let's be guided by that as well. Let's go to why Stephen is joining us. Stephen, hi.
Hi.
Good afternoon. Let's hear your views, please.
Yeah. My view is on the bribing allegation. You know, bribing issues are not all that public. It's always on done under the carpet. So for someone to come out to say that there's an allegation on not anybody but the Chief Justice, and the law is saying that when any allegation is made, that person, you have to step aside, let investigation go on. Then when you are proven not guilty, then you come back and resume. That will bring an integrity on our judicial system.
Okay.
If not, for all you know, the public have now lost confidence in our executives and even the legislature. The only hope now we are having,
is the judiciary,
thinking that there will be justice in the system, is the judiciary. And if this thing is happening and maybe we keep this issue under the carpet, I think we are doing more harm than good.
So left to you alone, the Chief Justice must either recuse himself or step aside temporarily or be forced to do so.
He should just excuse himself, step aside, and let investigation be carried out.
Okay.
If he's found out, all the necessary investigation is pointed out that he's not guilty, then he come back. I think that will even give the Chief Justice some credit.
Okay.
If not, the general public, or in my view, the executive is not up to touch. So the judiciary have to also hold onto their destiny. If not, if maybe the Chief Justice is there, he can influence the process.
All right.
But bear in mind, he's the chief, and all the judges under the bar is under him.
Right.
So they take his command, and if it's imposed, there will not be any fairness in the investigation that will be carried on.
Okay.
So
right.
we think he should step aside, let investigation go on. Then at the end of the day, if he's found not guilty, then he come back to take his position.
Okay.
And we'll applaud him for that.
All right. Stephen, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for
Thank
those
you
views.
very
Stephen joined us from Wa East with those views. Well, he is very confident that if you say your hands are clean, it's okay, just step aside briefly. Let us investigate it. After the investigation, if your hands are truly clean, you just come back and take over your seat. Well, that's one school of thought. The other is, I'm not guilty in any way. The person who is making the accusation has not proven anything. Why should I step aside? And so these are varied views, opposing views at this point. And so let all of them come into the fore and let us all decide what is best for us. 055-033-1511, 055-033-1511, and 020-473-8481. Should the Chief Justice step aside pending a probe into the allegations of $5 million bribe? That is the question we are asking. I don't know what you think, but there have been quite a number of views expressed so far on the show. Everybody giving quite an interesting perspective to the issue. In fact, some of the suggestions I've heard on the show today give me the impression some may not even be too confident in the committee that is to actually investigate this. And so for those in power watching this show now, perhaps this is good feedback for you. You can also pay a critical attention to some of the things that have been said and take note, because you are governing a country. The country is made up of citizens. So these are some of the concerns citizens are raising. But of course, there are quite a number of things that are currently working. Let's hold on to this now, right? I told you there's something that is happening in Asin North. The ruling, we are told, just came I think about an hour ago or so. Let's get a reaction, because now what it means is that one member of the NDC in Parliament is having to forfeit the seat for whichever reason. I'm sure if you go into the history, you will know that the gentleman was accused of holding dual citizenship. It was a whole back and forth and the like. But now there's an update on the situation. It is that the court is suggesting that the gentleman cannot hold himself as member of parliament. Let's go to the phone lines now and speak to Eduji Tameklo. He's one of the leading lawyers for the Opposition National Democratic Congress now. He will help us with a few thoughts on the issue. Eduji, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us on Opposing Views.
And let me use good afternoon and good afternoon to your viewers.
Right. Eduji, okay, there was a certain question that was asked on the news today. I think I want to play back that question in a different context, though. Did you see this coming in the sense that a number of you had mentioned that the gentleman was cleared to contest, he has contested, he has won the election, and you people are now coming back to suggest that he has dual citizenship and so what, blah, blah, blah. But did you anticipate that we'll get to the point where he could be asked not to hold himself as member of parliament?
So once the court proceedings started and certain issues, there's something we call application for directions. At the direction stage, there was an issue that the judge set down for trial. Once he did, you could see, I mean, it's like a binary situation. It is either 1 or 0. And so you could see that this is how the judge will conclude. And so if you recall, there were petitions that we filed even on the issue that by those pronouncements, the judge might possibly have decided the matter already.
That's true, I remember. I see. So what then does this mean for the party? I mean, you did so well to win a number of seats. In fact, at a point...
So you see, I think it's important that we bring viewers up to speed. So these are in terms of the timeline. Remember that the Electoral Commission opened the notice of poll for the 2020 election in October, if you recall. And he filed his nomination around that time. Now, the issue is that by the constitutional and statutory arrangements that we have, once the nomination was done in October, he got a certificate of renunciation somewhere in, what shall I say, in November, after the notice of poll. Now, what is curious is that some citizens of Asino have then raised in a petition that they have reasons to believe that we are not qualified. Hello?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Yes, have reasons to believe that, and therefore the Electoral Commission should ban him from contesting. So the EC wrote to him that some concerned citizens of Asino have raised this issue. May we see your certificate of renunciation?
Right.
And he presented it to the Electoral Commission before the conduct of the election. Right?
Yeah.
However, the court appears to have taken the position that to the extent that the certificate was issued in November, and to the extent that the notice of poll was in October, and the certificate came after that, it means that you are disqualified. Let me give you a quick scenario. Today, once the judge says there should be a by-election, what it means is that the current MP is qualified to contest.
I see.
So we are back to square one. Because now he has a certificate, correct?
Right.
Starting from November 2020.
Right.
So if the EC, by reason of the orders of the court, even open, declare the seat vacant and say there is going to be a by-election in, say, 21 days after today, right? And the Electoral Commission opens by the notice of poll, he is qualified to contest.
So essentially, there's no point in even making this null and void.
We are back to square one. Because now, if there is a by-election and you ask the Electoral Commission to conduct it, the Electoral Commission will start first with a notice of poll. By that notice of poll, they'll be inviting nominations.
Okay. But that does not necessarily
you see, this is not a situation where you are saying that the figures you won the election with are less than what is supposed to have won the election.
Right.
The only reason for the disqualification or the annulment of the election results is the issue of the renunciation. Now the man has a certificate dated 26 November 2020. So if you are doing any election today, 2021, you'll be deemed qualified.
Okay, but essentially that still does not change the facts that at the time, perhaps when he was contesting, he did not have the letter of renunciation, and so if
Can I ask you a question?
Sure, go ahead.
Which is pretty a simple question, and the question is this: the said constitutional provision relates to allegiance. When I am, say, dual citizen to another country here, Canada, and I write to Canadian authorities in, say, 2019, that by reason of my parliamentary election contest, I no longer want to be a Canadian. I write to you. However, you responded to me in November 2020. It's a question of allegiance. And I have written to you that I no longer want. So if you decide that you have to respond to me, I owe allegiance to you.
But an expression of interest in something does not necessarily suggest anything.
No, it's not.
So he had expressed interest to no longer hold.
Allegiance. For instance, when I tell you that I owe you allegiance, can you say that you are refusing me?
Okay, I get your drift.
Right. No, do you get the point?
Yeah,
I am telling you that I used to owe allegiance to you. And so I'm writing to you that I no longer want to owe allegiance to you. Then you say no, unless you accept.
Yeah, but there are processes that you need to go through once you are renouncing your citizenship. So I think perhaps that's the only.
That is why. But you see, the question is not citizenship. The question is the ownership of allegiance.
I see. So
can I ask a question?
Another question? Okay, let's hear you.
No,
I think we should bring you in one of these days as host.
Yes, so I'll just finish. Assuming you are married to an American and you have a daughter, by reason of birth, that person is an American, correct?
Correct.
And also a Ghanaian.
Sure.
Are you by this, that person can never be an MP in Ghana?
No, that person can, but the person must choose which of the two he or she wants to represent.
Does the person's mother choose to be an American?
Not at all.
So you see that it is easier for you, your child, to be an American president than to be a Ghanaian president. If you are married. I mean, it shows you how progressive we are. You know that if you apply this law strictly, Obama will not have become president in America.
I see. So essentially, some are saying, and a few minutes ago, I was going through some of the numbers of the presidential and parliamentary elections. Now, if you take a look at the presidential, for instance, for the Asin North constituency, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo had 16,067 votes, which was 50.81%. John Dramani Mahama had 15,014 votes, which was 47.48%. Now, for the parliamentary results, James Gyakye had 17,498 votes, which was 55.21% of the total valid votes cast, and Abna Drowa Mensah had 14,193 votes, representing 44.79%. Looking at this, I mean, on the surface of this, one would say the NDC shouldn't be too worried, really. If by-elections were to be held, you still stand quite a decent chance of perhaps retaining.
I guess even give you a better scenario.
Right.
That even today, if the Electoral Commission decides to open nomination, the NDC MP, who by the orders of the court is not supposed to hold himself, he will be qualified to contest that.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
So we are back to square one.
Right. So granted, we are back to square one, but let's say that the right processes must be followed. So the fact that somebody took money, example.
One of the
example. The fact that somebody may have taken money from a business account to do a personal transaction and return the money, even at a time when nobody even saw it, but maybe subsequently, when auditors did checks and the like, they realized some harm had been done or some laws had been broken. It does not necessarily mean that, well, because you returned the money, we shouldn't go through the process, the disciplinary processes.
Unfortunately, you are asking me to do a comparison between orange and apple. Okay. And already that's particularly difficult for me by way of my training.
So you think the scenarios don't reflect enough?
Beyond the fact that they are all fruits, it's difficult to do a further comparison. One is orange, the other is apple. You understand?
Right. I see. Okay. So what's next for the party? Is it that you are going back to court? Are you going to seek further?
No, you see, already, they are, for instance, as part of this court process, there is even an appeal pending on some of the orders of the court before the Court of Appeal.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
There is also a Supreme Court matter pending because we strongly believe that there are critical issues of interpretation related to Article 90. What exactly does it mean to owe allegiance? It's not a question of citizenship. And that is why I ask you a simple question. A person whose mother is an American by birth. It comes with him. It's indivisible. To the extent that the mother's blood, so to speak, flows through the person, you cannot deny the person the benefit of being an American. Right?
Yeah.
So the question of allegiance is different from citizenship.
I see.
And so we believe that there are clear issues of interpretation for the court to determine. So that matter too is pending before the Supreme Court.
Interesting. Okay. We'll keep a close eye on this and then we'll see how it goes. As we wrap up though, just a brief comment on, I know perhaps it's not something you may necessarily want to speak to so much, but just briefly, on the suspension of Koko Anyidoho, some have questioned the decision by the party suggesting, Charlie, we need a lot more people to actually come on board and to help the NDC win because you lost by the narrowest of margins this time round. Why are we rather segregating the party?
Political organizations operate on the basis of discipline. Discipline. Nothing more, nothing else. Any organization, including yours, where you work, that does not have, the opportunity to resolve matters bordering on discipline will collapse. Let me just put it this way. For instance, where you work, you have a competitor. And you, the same person, you are working for them and working for the other person. Are you not conflicted?
Yes, that's conflict of interest, yes.
So the party or the organization should have the capacity to say that no, what you are doing jeopardizes the very life of the organization. And so, as we say, association, free come, free go. And like we always say, for political organizations, you can never compromise on the key issue of loyalty.
Some say loyalty does not mean we should stay silent when things are wrong. If really things have to be voiced out.
If you read the report of the committee, the committee said, to the extent that you, on several platforms, whether social media or anything, have taken to attacking elected national officers of the party. And when the committee graciously offered you the opportunity to hear your side, look at the committee members. Commodore Steve Obi there, squadron leader retired Asafijima, and the Honorable Ken Jirasa. Some of our noblest senior members of our party expressed interest, come, WhatsApp, call, DHL, everything. You have ignored them. We contend. What can an organization do again?
Would same be said of the issue of Alote Jacobs? How about Stephen Atubiga? And some are beginning to draw patterns to suggest the party is not as tolerant as many thought it was. You no longer want
a party that is not tolerant will not offer you the opportunity to be heard. Political parties have what we call internal grievance mechanisms. So that, for instance, if you have a problem with the organization that you work in, you don't go, for instance, to sit on a competitor's platform and say, this is the organization. Nothing precludes you, for instance, in writing to management. The management, I believe that A, B, C, D. If management ignores you, then you can say that this management is not tolerant of dissent. When you don't do that, no organization on earth will permit that.
Right. Okay. Eduji, many thanks for your time today on Opposing Views. We're really grateful you took time off to join us.
Have a nice day.
Eduji Tameklo. He's one of the leading members of the Opposition National Democratic Congress now. We had to just bring him in because of the bit that we had introduced to the conversation. Remember, today we touched on 3 things, and so we felt that once we had exhausted quite extensively the issue of the Chief Justice, we needed a bit more clarity also on the issue of the Asin North constituency, the MP who has been asked by the court to no longer hold himself as Member of Parliament. So now, like I said, there's going to be a by-election in that very constituency. And then also the issue about the dismissal of Samuel Koko Anyidoho, because they say he's been saying a lot of things that hurts the party and does not really help the party. Will this move inure to the benefit of the NDC or perhaps harm them a bit more in the next general elections? Well, the ball is in your court. You are the jury. You decide in 2024. But that's how we wrap up the show today, right here on Opposing Views. My name is Kwabena Chencheni. The show was produced by Mario France Fojo with support from Enesena Nudolo as well as Jonah Eledi. And I'm thankful to you also for taking time off to watch. Hopefully, I'll see you on Friday.